Hey there, this is the One Boom, and I'm just throwing this video together kind of willy-nilly before I go to sleep. It's about 4:45 a.m. for me, and I just decided, you know what? I am going to upload a video for today. I'm going to talk about the CARV.2 since I've unlocked it. I guess it's the CARV.2 or whatever. But either way, the non-G11 G11 that they added into Black Ops Cold War is a disappointment. It's interesting, it's kind of unique actually, but in terms of actual practicality, it's kind of useless. It's a burst rifle that can't get a one burst unless you land the entire burst on the enemy's head. Even the barrel that increases the damage the most only will make your two bursts more consistent. You are going to need to land either a headshot, 3 bursts if you're inaccurate, 2 bursts if you're more accurate, but I think the more disturbing aspect of the weapon is that it's just not practical when you analyze it. Now, before I get into that, I will say the recoil and accuracy on this thing is immaculate. It's amazing. It's one of the most consistent burst rifles I've ever seen in terms of accuracy in a Call of Duty game, and the fact that the bursts come out as fast as they do makes it viable. Okay, because you don't have to deal with recoil, and because the bursts are so fast, it's not useless. But even though it isn't useless, it comes down to how it has to be used. And if you're using a different burst rifle like the AUG or the M16, you landing a burst to somebody's chest is going to kill them very easily. So why would I use a weapon that if I land a burst in their chest, I have to land another burst? Why use a burst rifle that requires me to land a burst into the person's head? We might think, well, yeah, but the bursts come out really fast. Well, then why wouldn't I just use a DMR 14 or an SKS, the type? Why wouldn't I use a semi-auto? And more importantly, if you're gonna tell me just land the one burst on the head, if I'm gonna have to be that precise, then why wouldn't I just use a Pellington and shoot somebody in the upper chest? Now, this weapon has almost no recoil and can one burst to the head. Yeah, you're thinking what I'm thinking. It'd be a really good, anti-head glitch weapon. And yeah, you'd kind of be right, except if that head glitcher is shooting at you first with an automatic that they can sort of just, hold the trigger and then adjust for your position, or a sniper rifle that just needs to shoot you once in the chest. There's no flinch in this game. So if you miss your burst on that head glitcher's head, and they can see more than just your head, like, you kind of have to enter the open for the gunfight, you're going to be at a massive disadvantage. You're going to have to be working a lot harder than your opponent, which is something that I've complained about a lot in many different FPS games when it comes to certain weapon imbalances, but I feel like it's sort of impractical to assume that a player can take this burst weapon and land 3 shots into a head glitcher's head. That would have to be a scenario where the head glitcher doesn't see you, isn't shooting at you, has really bad aim, isn't using a sniper rifle. I feel like there's too many things that can go wrong there. Now, on paper or in a very sterile environment, this might be able to work for you, but it's just not something I think you should go for. And if you're fighting a quick and fast player in mid to close range, somebody that's strafing you and sliding at you with a PPSH, it's very difficult, in my opinion, for me, to track a player with this weapon. I feel like I need to pace my shots with this, otherwise I just start spamming the trigger like it's a DMR, like a semi-auto DMR, and I'm just, burst, 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 burst as I'm trying to track the person. But if they're moving just so, they're kind of zigzagging or moving at a weird angle, they can be right in the middle of your bursts. Like, so in between your bursts, they can just be, moving in front of your sight. So you're firing every time they're not in your sight if they're fast enough. And this can equal a lot of annoying gunfights. So yeah, you might think, slow down and pace your shot. Okay, I agree with you. That's what you should do. But why wouldn't I just do that with an M16? Why wouldn't I just do that with an AUG? If I'm gonna have to slow down and I'm not taking advantage of this high rate of fire, then I feel like I could just use an M16. There's an argument to be made that you're supposed to pace your shots during those gunfights that I just described, but then when you see a head glitcher or somebody holding still, then you just dump burst into them and kill them faster than they can react. That's not a bad strategy, and again, this gun is totally usable and you can get some fun kills with it doing that. Like, I feel like a better player than I am is going to really enjoy the CARV.2 for the reasons that I'm talking about. It's a burst weapon that can one burst to the head and it has 0 recoil, so if you miss the headshot, you really don't need to, adjust for the recoil and then refire. You can just kind of keep firing. But in my opinion, if I have to slow down, I might as well use a different burst rifle, the AUG or the M16, and if I have to spam fire, I might as well use a Type or a DMR. And I feel like you could argue that the CARV kind of does both. It's like the middle ground between like the DMR-14 and the M16, but I don't really see that. This weapon is a semi-auto with extra steps, and because of its fictitious science fiction-y looking nature, and the fact that it's not really the iconic, weird, kraut magic G11 that we've grown to love over the years. I mean, if you watch Forgotten Weapons and listen to people talk about the G11, then the G11's kind of special. It's unique, it's weird, it's stupid, and I wanted it to be in the game, and since it isn't, it doesn't even have that going for it. So it's sort of a fun, impractical weapon that can surprise you at times and can melt people at times. So I wouldn't say avoid using it, but it's sort of lackluster. It doesn't really wow me in any particular sense or way or reason. But the nice thing is it requires very few attachments, because even the final barrel, which does make it more consistent, isn't entirely necessary. The iron sights are pretty clean, you're never going to have to worry about recoil, and the gun has a plethora of ammo in its starting mag, so it is a good gun out of the box. Does that mean you should use it over a DMR-14 or an M16? In my opinion, absolutely not. In fact, many of the other automatic assault rifles would be a lot more convenient and versatile for you to use. Also, God help you if you miss a burst and you're fighting a sniper. If you don't land that one burst on a sniper's head, the time in between the bursts you're going to be firing at them is more than enough time for them to click on you, so that's why I would rather use an M16. I see a sniper, I put a burst in their chest, and they're dead. Whereas with this, I put a burst in their chest, I need to land another burst, and they're already acquiring me with their Pellington scope. Yeah, you get the picture. See you when I see you guys. Have fun with the gun, I guess?